vision for our country, reminding us that our nation was conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all are created equal. And he reminded us that those who sacrifice all on that battlefield are best honored by ensuring that our nation has a new birth of freedom, with a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Wise words spoken by a wise man, but that is not what we have today. Instead, what we have is a government of, by, and for the rich and powerful. And what happens as a result? We, the people, get left behind. You deserve a president that will put your interests ahead of the rich and powerful, ahead of self-serving politicians, ahead of the very few who are holding on to that power with all that they have. As your president, I'll crack down on big pharma and insurance companies who are exploiting the sick, putting their profits ahead of the health and well-being of the American people. As your president, I will work to pass Medicare for all who want it so every single American can get the health care that they need when they need it. Now, unfortunately, as in too many states, New Hampshire is vastly underfunded when it comes to education. Our teachers remain underpaid, under-resourced, without the tools that they need to best serve our kids. As your president, I'll make education a top priority, paying our teachers what they deserve and empowering them to do what they do best. As president, I'll end the federal marijuana prohibition in the failed war on drugs, a war that's ruined so many people's lives. It's torn families apart. It's overcrowded our prisons. I'll reform our broken criminal justice system. And part of that is holding big pharma and those responsible for our opioid epidemic responsible and accountable, prosecuting them, and making sure that we as a country are providing the necessary resources towards those who have fallen victim to this epidemic, help them on this path towards treatment and the long path of recovery towards a better future and a new beginning. As president, I'll protect our freedoms. You know, we've got overreaching intelligence agencies and big tech monopolies who are undermining our civil liberties and freedoms in the name of national security and corporate greed. I'll protect our constitutional right to privacy and our free speech. Now, I come from a beautiful state, as do you here in New Hampshire. I'll tackle climate change and protect our environment by ushering in a green century, ending taxpayer subsidies for fossil fuel corporations and multinational agribusiness, and harnessing the best that technology and innovation has to offer us by creating a green economy with good-paying jobs and making sure that every single American has clean air to breathe and clean water to drink. Now, there's one issue that is central to every one of the domestic challenges that we face, and that is the cost of war. 4,419. 4,419 of my brothers and sisters in uniform never came home from Iraq. Their families saw them come home in coffins. 2,524 of my brothers and sisters in uniform were killed in Afghanistan. Their families and their loved ones never having the opportunity to say their final goodbye. Countless others were injured in combat, came home with both visible and invisible wounds, paying the price for war that would last their lives. These are not just numbers and statistics or headlines that we see every now and then. These are our friends. Those who we laughed with and trained with and served with. These are our brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters, our moms and dads. Those who paid the price for these wasteful wars. But really, every single American pays a price. Every one of you here pays a price, whether you realize it or not. Because since 9/11 alone, over $6 trillion have been spent on these wasteful wars to overthrow authoritarian regimes in other countries like Iraq and Libya and Syria, undermining our national security, strengthening terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, taking a toll on American lives, and causing destruction in the countries where we wage these wars. And you've got to understand this, that every single dollar wasted on these counterproductive wars is a dollar coming out of our pockets. It's a dollar coming out of our schools. It's a dollar coming out of our healthcare system, out of our infrastructure needs, out of serving the needs of our people. I currently serve as a soldier in the Army National Guard and have served now for over 16 years and have deployed twice to the Middle East. And in Congress now for nearly 7 years, I've served on the Armed Services Committee, the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Homeland Security Committee. I know the importance of our national security, having a trained and ready military capable of fulfilling their mission of defending the American people, keeping us safe. And I also know the cost of war, because I've seen it firsthand. I also know the most important responsibility the President has is to serve as Commander-in-Chief. So I want you to know that as President, I will stop warmongers from both parties, neocons and neolibs, from dragging us from one regime change war into the next. Stop those who are hyping up a new war right now as we speak with Iran, a war that would be far more costly and devastating than anything that we ever saw in the Iraq War. Stop those who are escalating, as we speak, a new Cold War and an arms race, escalating tensions with other nuclear-armed countries like Russia and China, pushing us closer and closer to the brink of nuclear catastrophe. As President and Commander-in-Chief, I will end these wasteful wars, work to end this new Cold War and arms race, and lead our nation with a foreign policy that's focused on cooperation rather than conflict. Ending that policy of being the world's police, having the courage to meet with both adversaries and friends in the pursuit of peace and national security, understanding the only alternative to talking and negotiations and diplomacy is war. I'll take the trillions of dollars that would continue to be wasted on these wars and weapons, and instead dedicate those resources towards serving the needs of our people right here at home. For things like quality health care for all, protecting our environment, strengthening our economy, investing in education, and so much more. I'll bring these principles, they're at the heart of every soldier and service member, these principles of service above self, to the White House, restoring the values of honor and integrity and respect to the presidency. So I'm asking you to join me, because I know that when we stand united by our love of country, our love for our freedoms and for each other, there is no obstacle we cannot overcome. United we stand, divided we fall. So join me as we gather together to bend the arc of history away from war, and together working towards that future of peace, prosperity, opportunity, and justice for all. Thank you so much for being here and for all that you are doing to strengthen our democracy and move us forward together. Thank you so much. It's great to see you. Aloha. Thank you very much.